This just revealed a lot about the Canucks as Patrik Allvin spoke on multiple things, including his plans with Calder Cup winning goaltender Arturs Silovs heading into next season. But not only that, he speaks on one Abbotsford player that seems poised to join this lineup going into next season. We're going to break down everything on Arturs Silovs, including the quotes from Patrik Allvin, which has some fans scared. But not only that, we're going to break down this one key player from Abbotsford that can have a huge impact on this Canucks team. We're going to break down all this and more later on this episode. Before we get into that, if you're part of the 67% watching this and you haven't hit that sub button yet, it's completely free to hit that button. It helps us out a ton. And in return, we'll give you updates on everything to do around the Canucks from prospects, trade reports, rumors, anything you can think of, you can get right here on Canucks Digest. So go down and hit that free subscribe button. It helps a ton. Well, let's just hop straight into the first topic, and we'll touch on Linus Karlsson first. Patrik Allvin spoke in a recent interview on the Shannon Show, where it will be linked down below, and he said, "We feel our bottom six makes our team harder to play against. You have guys who can kill penalties, and a bigger guy who is a top scorer in the AHL playoffs, Linus Karlsson, who is definitely fighting for an NHL spot. We have a good mix of speed and skill in our top six, and speed, size, and grit in our bottom six." Now, we know with the Canucks, there's a lot of rumors floating around. I did a video just yesterday on that, so go check that out as well. But the Canucks are looking to solidify this bottom six, and they're trying to push a lot of Abbotsford players into the lineups. We've seen quotes that Baines is a player that could make this lineup. But with Patrik Allvin speaking highly on Linus Karlsson, who was fantastic, debatably the best forward for the Abbotsford Canucks during their Calder run, all signs are starting to point that this young forward will stay with the Canucks, or at least make the Canucks going into next year. We already know Aatu is pretty much set to join this team, but Linus Karlsson adds a lot to the team as well. 39 points in 32 games during the regular season with Abbotsford. We've seen 6 points in 23 games, and he really exploded for 26 points in 24 games during Abbotsford run. Getting Linus Karlsson into this lineup, he brings a lot. He brings grit to it. He fights on the boards. He can score goals that he's already proven, getting 3 in the NHL and 20 in the AHL in the regular season. This is the perfect player to put onto your third line or fourth line to slowly move him into a bigger role with the team. 25 years old, still yet to hit his prime. Getting Karlsson into this, it's going to get a little tricky. Let's be honest. We know at the bottom six, we've seen the reports coming in that Teddy Bluger and Dakota Joshua might be on the block and heading out in a bigger trade to solidify the top six with the new center. So if you do move out one or both of these players, it gives more room for the Canucks to get Archie Baines, who Patrik Allvin, and we've seen Elliot Friedman say that he's most likely going to make a push to join this team. Linus Karlsson could slide straight into this fourth line, and Jonathan Lekkerimäki is waiting in the weeds to join this team once he bulks up a bit. And I do think this offseason is going to be very telling if we see Jonathan Lekkerimäki in. But with Linus Karlsson, the comments you guys were leaving, everyone wants this kid into the lineup, and it could happen as soon as next year, especially if Patrik Allvin continues raving about these Abbotsford players, depending on who they move out. But what's your thoughts on Linus Karlsson? I'd love to see him in the lineup. I think he brings a lot, grit, grind, and goal scoring into this bottom six to make it a heavier, faster, and hard to play against team. But with that, we'll hop straight into what everyone probably clicked on, where we get a huge update on Arturs Silovs, and Patrik Allvin goes into his plan with the young goaltender going into next year. Now, he spoke on him and said Artie is a young and extremely good goalie. He was just the MVP in the American League playoffs, outstanding. He's played at the highest stage for Latvia and will be on their Olympic roster. Now, before we get into the second part of this comment, where it does get a little crazy, we know how good Arturs Silovs has been, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but who can stop talking about the Artie party? Because I truly can't. Looking at the playoffs, a .931 save percentage, 5 shutouts during the run as well, 16-7, and still only 24 years old. Arturs Silovs is a bright spot for this Canucks team, and he has a bright future. We've seen him step in during the Edmonton Oilers series, where the Canucks obviously ended up losing and missing the playoffs the following year. But with this team finally getting back in with a young goaltender that just won the MVP of the Calder Cup, winning the Calder Cup, playing for Latvia and playing for the Canucks all in a 2-year span, things are pointed in the right direction for the Artie party. I mean, looking at his overseas number. The World Championship, a 952. Internationally with Latvia, 968. With the World Juniors, again, in 921. Everywhere Silovs plays, especially when you get into the playoffs, he has looked phenomenal on the ice. Going into the playoffs for the Canucks, taking over after Thatcher Demko went down. We've seen Casey DeSmith not play with the Canucks, and Silovs step in and took that role over and played pretty darn good for a young goaltender. Losing him on the open market or at all would be a major blow, and it goes straight into Patrik Allvin saying, we'll see over the next couple of weeks if we carry the goalies to camp or if a decision is made prior to it. Now we know there has been murky room around Arturs Silovs after Kevin Lankinen was brought in last year, got extended to his big contract. We've seen Thatcher Demko get extended on July 1st when Allvin sat down and said, hey, Garland, Boeser, Demko, you guys are all coming back and we're extending 2 of you. This does get into the situation of a murky water. If you have Arturs Silovs, 24 years old, ready to step into the crease next season just before his contract expires, what do you do with the rest of this team? Thatcher Demko just signed for $8.5 million, making him a top 5 highest paid goaltender. Kevin Lankinen extended until 2030. It does seem like a room is slowly getting away from Arturs Silovs, who just had a career year in the AHL, who should be ready to step in for the Canucks, if not next season, the season after. Now, yes, Thatcher could go down with an injury. You can call him up. But Arturs Silovs is not going to clear waivers. With Allvin saying they're going to wait as soon as I can find it and see they have to make a decision, it does make you wonder if they're going to use this as a trade package. We know with this Canucks team, they have their 2 goaltenders. We know with this Canucks team, they don't have a lot of trade space. This is what led to the Teddy Blueger and Dakota Joshua talk on a possible trade. So if you're looking at a bigger picture, if you're attaching Dakota Joshua, Teddy Blueger, Silovs, which I don't want to move these guys, along with the draft picks the Canucks have, you could move this out, move a lot of salary, get a lot of value to fill in the top 6 of this team. But with the Canucks being stuck in that situation of trying to find the second line center and not wanting to mortgage the future, there was a recent poll just dropped and had the Canucks 31st in prospect ranking. I think that's ridiculous. That's a little teaser for a video tomorrow. But with this team actively looking to get better, to be in the playoff race, and with Patrik Allvin unsure if they'll have the 3 goaltenders, as Silovs is on the last year of his deal, he will not claim waivers if coming up and playing extremely well. It leaves the Canucks in a murky situation, and Silovs' future with the Canucks even more murkier. But what's your guys' thoughts on all this? What is your thoughts on Allvin's comments on Silovs saying they have to make a decision prior to this? They go into Silovs possibly not being with this team. What is your thoughts on Linus Karlsson maybe joining this team next year? Because I would love to see him on the second or third line. The Canucks team is slowly starting to fill out. I'm getting excited for next season. But what's your guys' thoughts on this? Go ahead and leave a comment down below. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back with another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark. Bye, and take care.